Welcome to Scaling Right, brought to you by the Artha School of Entrepreneurship. I'm Mangalam Maloo, and this is a podcast where we talk to founders about building sustainable companies and the many roads to reach there. Every founder that has started their scaling journeys knows one truth for sure. Culture isn't just a buzzword. It's the soul of every organization. From fostering innovation to attracting top talent and everything in between, setting the right culture has a profound impact on your business. And who better to tell us about how to go about culture than our guest today? We have with us Paramdeep Singh, who is the CEO of Field Assist, which is a Salesforce automation solution to make the on-field sales force more productive, proactive, and organized. He believes that we must make products for India, and not just India. In fact, if you want to talk about new customer acquisition and growing a customer company or consumer company, he's your guy. Param, thank you so much for joining in. I mean, we were talking about how both of us have this common ground in FMCG and, you know, the consumer products that the consumer India that really gets you going. First up, what exactly does Field Assist do? I mean, that's a very interesting description of your company. Tell us what it does.
Okay. So Field Assist is basically a SaaS technology platform. It helps all the CPG companies, including FMCG, FMCD, to basically help win them more market share. And how does it do? It's basically a supply and sales automation platform. Simple language, there are people on the field of the brands, you name it. They just have to do a lot of work in the market when they go around. And there's a lot of data intelligence which they capture, the salespeople typically, but that does not get recorded anywhere. And this what Field Assist started with, that having a mobile application for the salespeople to do much more than simply what they have been doing so far, by utilizing the power of data and data capturing, and the management have a real-time insights. What is selling, where it is selling, how much it is selling, and then the team productivity, market productivity, and also the performance of their own products. FMCG, they deal with thousands of SKUs.
So basically, if I had to, simplify the exact thing that you do, is that you have a software which all the Salesforce of consumer companies can install on their devices. Every time they go to stores to sell products, they can capture that data on that devices, and based on that data, you can make sales forecasts, you can make replenishment forecasts, and you can, tell companies in real time that these are your products which are doing well in this particular area. These are the products which are not doing well in a particular area, or these are the SKUs, or basically the variants of that product.
So there are like 40 plus KPIs to capture. And in real time is the beauty, because it's a very competitive market. And also the distributor supply chain, that's a forward integration that also gets automated through Field Assist, other products like distribution management system. And then on top of it, analytics for the managers, for the top management, for the real field people, that changes the whole scenario for them to take decisions and execute it faster and better.
The reason I spoke so much about the consumer companies in India largely because of a lot of the companies that I have interacted with, it's the consumer companies that stand out in terms of one C word, which is culture. Now, culture, you can feel it, you can see it. I'm not sure you can define it. How do you see 8 different companies and okay, this culture is a certain way, this culture is a certain way. It's very intangible, so to say. How do you define culture? It's such a fuzzy word.
Yeah, it is. So I'm totally with you. So the way I see a culture, couple of things. Let's say there's no right and wrong culture. Even dacoits have a culture. Okay, and there's nothing good or bad about it. And also the culture is basically, you feel it. It could be called as the soul of a company. It could be called like vibes in the air. But to me, it's basically, let's say, how the company behaves day in, day out. So we talk about basically the, let's say, value system of the company. And one more important thing, culture is not something which many people, let's say, come to us and they say that, okay, you are a great places to work. How do we do that? And we aspire to become that. I say that it's not about that what do you wish to do. It's about who you are. So who you are defines the culture and starts from you. And of course, it gets along with your company as you grow. But culture is something, it's about curiosity, Okay, it's about collaboration, it's about inclusivity, it's about trust. So there's so many aspects to it. And anybody walking into the company or talking to any of the teammate, if not even me, let's say somebody would say that whatever I'm hearing from your new entrant guy and what I hear from a CEO, a customer would say that I find so much of resonance in it. So these are the cues you pick it up. That's how.
This reminds me, I read this quote a long time ago. It said that character is what you do when no one is seeing.
Yes.
That's for an individual. So maybe if you expand it to a company, culture of a company is what they do when no one is seeing.
This is another very interesting perspective to look at it. So basically, who you are, be authentic, being transparent, and being true to. And as you are evolving yourself, culture evolves. As you come to know that these are our these are the things not helping us, and these are the things need to be preserved. These are the things to be eliminated, and these are the things to be changed. Not for the sake of change, but I mean the culture. If you go any family, if you go any company, any country, there's a certain culture to it. Right. It's basically the authenticity of that place, and being very radically honest about it. It's, I think, one of the very key thing. Then you are true to the culture, and you're not copying or imbibing just because taking something, or you can get inspired, but not about copying, because that won't work at all.
So they say that culture makes a world of a difference to the way a company's trajectory is.
Yeah.
Can you give us examples of how a certain kind of culture took a company to a certain place, and how the absence of that culture did not make a company grow as much as it could have potentially grown?
So when we talk about culture, as I mentioned, there's going to be some behaviors, which will define. For example, I'll tell you, we have a culture of being very, very customer-centric, and we don't do any business which we feel that it is not going to help the customer in a long run. For example, if I was at a prospect office in Gujarat, and my sales person was tracking the lead for last 6 months, and he took me to the client office to close the deal. And it's a big dairy client in the country. And when I went to them and I saw what they have been doing, and I was pretty impressed with what technology they have been using. Right. After 45 minutes of hearing with the IT head, I said that you don't need field assist. You don't need us.
Incredible.
Don't buy a field assist at this stage of time. You will ruin a lot of things. You've already built a very good thing. Just because you have some local partner doesn't mean that you are not doing good enough. But probably at a later stage, when you have grown, when you have more delivery channels, some van sales model and all, will come into picture. Now, my sales guy, he was having a moment like, what is happening? I got you here to basically close the deal. Now, what happened? I said no, and there was a huge respect in the eyes of IT head I could see. Yes. And then what happens later? Let's say 2 years down the line, we were having an issue of a change management, or basically management change was happening in one of the biggest client of ours, based out of Mumbai. And the management had a lot of wavering thoughts whether to continue with this partner or we get somebody else. And the same IT guy, joined that company.
Wow.
Okay. And he said that, no, we are going to stick with this company because I know the company background. I know that they are true to the customers. And it's been another 3 years with that company. We have been doing really well. So this is what culture takes you from here to there. And there are umpteen number of examples where we had refused on the table money because we didn't want to do anything under the table. Okay. So that also has happened. And God has been kind. So these kind of examples, I think, set the culture right.
It's great that you speak about these examples, but it also opens two fronts for me. The first one is that how do companies, when they start thinking of culture at the start itself? They say that, you think of all these things, all these high order thinking only when your stomach is full. When a company is struggling with growth or it's trying to build something of it itself, how do you then focus on culture at that point in time? And, the second part of this is culture after a certain scale an afterthought, or is the luxury of the privileged, as they say?
Okay, thanks for asking this question. I have never felt it to be any kind of a dichotomy or any kind of a growth versus this kind of challenge, especially at the initial stages. Initial stages, what happens is that you are not that conscious about how the culture is building, but it is also very small setup. So it is all who you are,
right?
As I said before. Now, those times, it was not to put any, kind of a structure or a definition that this is who we are. But as we move forward, we need to define it. But growth versus, let's say, culture, I don't think so. They are in a different ends.
Okay.
They are intermingled. You will grow the way you are. Okay, your culture is. And whether it can take you to like 100% growth rate or whether it takes to 20% growth rate, it is how your culture is and how you are satisfied with it. It is all about that. It is not about that you do it backward calculation. Okay, it's not that, okay, I want to go there, so I had to have this kind of a culture. No, because you are like this, your self-awareness like this, you will reach there and you will figure out the ways to reach there. It's about the means.
Right.
It's not about the ends. So I don't think so. Of course, industry matters, your product matters, your service matters. All those things I'm not counting or discounting. They're all there. You need to have a problem, a valid problem to solve. But the way you are solving a problem, I think the culture is a big competitive strategy or a big competitive edge which you have, and it is very important to see from that angle as well. Because on the longer term, if you are thinking a lot, let's say a culture could also be somebody wants to take an exit soon.
Right.
Let's say 5 years down the line, the culture is very set that this is what we are going to do. I just want functional people. I'm not looking at an institution to be built up. So that's fine. Everybody has a good money at the end of 5 years. Whoever is joining us, it's all fine. And there could be an institution building up where you say, no, it's going to be there forever. And that is a thought process. And you take a lot of pride in what you are building. You may not be the right fit if you are here for a quick money. And which is absolutely in a non-judgmental way I'm talking about.
Yeah, I understand.
So this is how, when luxury, to your question, luxury, I don't think so. And I've personally speaking, I've never been, it's just as who you are. I think that's the essence of it.
So let's put it that way. As a founder, what are the active steps you take to build culture?
Okay. We have to take it because as you grow, the team, the tribe, the gang grows. Okay, but certain things are non-negotiable. Let's say the integrity part of it. It's non-negotiable. So how I have defined is there's a culture book at Field Assist, and I started writing it in 2017. It took me 8-9 months to write it, and it is there available on our website. Anybody who sees it, does have a word about it. And there I started defining the core values, who we are, kind of thing. And also there are many other aspects to it. Let's say DNA, which is do not assume, use your good judgment. On a practical terms, if I say, we don't have a time in, time out policy.
Got it.
And when I was 5 people company, then 50 people company, then 150 people company, now 250 people company, we have kept it this way, even though a lot of organizations, psychologists or OD people used to say this is not sustainable. I said, okay, we'll see. But this is what we are. I would not like to have any time in, time out check on somebody because I believe that the productivity is there, the results are good. Why to? And this is how we would like to work as a team, myself and my co-founder. Similarly, let's say we don't have anything a fixed travel allowance or DNS allowance. We use the word good judgment a lot.
Right.
And use good judgment. If you feel that you have to use this because there's something in urgency, you want to take a hotel like this, or you want to take a flight of this cost, just do it. And we have been doing it even though when we didn't have money. But on the same day, if you don't feel like, just take a metro or just take I've been traveling to the locals in Mumbai because it was just making more sense to me rather than traveling anywhere else. So there's no check and policy of that sort. But of course you need to just be not abusive of the system.
Right. And have you measured the impact of this in terms of, has there been a difference, any major difference in the cost or the productivity if you were say rigid about the timings, or if you had a DNS allowance?
So we have never gone into the other way.
Did you? No, in the sense that if there was some comparable that you had in the industry.
I don't compare, but I can only say one thing, that this has always helped us. This has always helped us in fueling growth. So as far as that is happening, we don't have to do anything. So nobody has been abusive of the system. Okay, nobody has been taking advantage of the system, and there have been people, even positive attrition is a good thing to have.
Yes.
So there have been people who happens to be of that sort, and it's like a defense mechanism of the body. All
Right.
white blood cells keep on fighting the outside viruses, and the odd man out goes out automatically from the system. Maybe they're in the system for some time, but then it goes out. So that gives me a lot of good feel factor that people are generally good at heart. There have at times what happens, let's say a team member comes and says that. So we have a core value of empathy. When we say empathy, it's like no ego
Yes.
whatsoever here. So somebody will come that this is the issue, and I said you are talking from the point of view like a blame game. But
Yes.
is this really an issue? And other person is also saying this person is not listening to me. So first of all, we have to come to the page that there's no malicious intent. Only then we can solve a problem. So and I know that everybody is good at heart. So with that thing coming in mind, we proceed forward to solve a problem. And this happens on a day in, day out time. And I'm very happy to say that even sending very, very young people who gets into our culture, into our system, along with the senior people, facing an MD of 500 crore company or 5,000 crore company for the learning part of it, they imbibe a lot of things like, okay, this is my on-the-job learning. A lot of people come to us. We are not a funded company. We don't
Right.
do very fancy stuff. It's a 10 years of journey, bootstrap, profitable, very few in the industry who are making for emerging economies product and still, doing well. So all these things, somebody gets really, really excited about it and gets onboarded. We help them making a choice, and we make sure that they get all the information that how this job is going to help you. If you are of certain nature, this may not actually help you. Do not join us. We end up, saying no to a lot of people who wish to come to field assist.
And that exactly is the other thing, right? I mean, what is you have to say no to people, but you have to also be non-judgmental about that person's aspirations or expectations, so to say. Is there anything such as good culture or bad culture, or is it just agnostic? Culture is culture, good, bad, ugly.
Yes, I'd say because it's the lens. So something which is good for you may not be good for me, and vice versa.
But there should be some general bad culture as well, right? Or
I think if you get into that,
Or general
so
good culture.
basically, yes, if you're not respecting an individual, okay, or if there's an impolite behavior towards somebody, or if you are too much into gossiping or blame game kind of thing, that kind of a toxic, basically that's an extreme when we say it's a
Yes.
toxic environment. That subordinates are not treated well, they are not
Right.
heard well. So these are I think that those are the hygiene things. I'm not talking about those, that very toxic culture. So here above that, I said, there's nothing which I feel that about a good or bad culture.
so long as the company's
It's the fitment
objectives,
part. It's
are
the fitment
defined.
part. So everybody who comes, I have interviewed thousands of people, basically say that you have a talent, I respect it. Okay. But if you are having this kind of a nature and this kind of aspiration, this will have a win-win situation. But if you're coming for something which you may not get it. So I actually happen to say to many people whom I hire that, on the very first day I say you have an expiry date. And the person gets shocked. I've just come in on the first day and the CEO is saying you have an expiry date. And so even I have an expiry date.
Right.
Because when I say expiry date, doesn't mean that I'm out of the company. It's basically mean that you need to keep on changing, keep on seeing your roles, and the change is something which is very constant. And you have to be proactive about it, ask for help, and but don't take it anything which is into your, you are entitled to. Okay, just see that perspective, always keeping that mind. This helps. But to many people it gets scary as well. So I stopped using that analogy a lot. But the point, I think I was able to come across the point which I'm trying to make.
Yes. So, you spoke about thinking of people when you hire them, and, talking about your company's culture at the hiring stage itself. How do you, at interviews, define your company's culture and at the same time gauge whether that person is fit for that culture or not? What are the kind of questions, sort of markers, thumb rules that you have?
Okay. Thanks for asking that. Our hiring process is actually a very, very exhaustive process. Okay, there are many things which comes into picture. And we have a very collaborative way of looking at an individual. So it's not always going to be pass or fail. Of course, after some basic level of filtering, that kind of a fitment to the job, experience, and all that stuff. But it starts from the day the first call is being made. Either somebody is sending a resume, or I end up replying a lot to people on my LinkedIn when they directly apply. It's the courtesy which gets set in. Then what happens? The way you are treating the other employee. No, the culture is not something that these are the checklists to do or this is the guidelines to do.
Right.
It happens in a way that if somebody gets hired, like last week when we were celebrating Christmas, so our TA people, talent acquisition team got surprise gifts from some people that say, thanks for hiring me. I'm blessed to be in this kind of a culture. So in the process itself, there could be some red flags which we identify. I have a very good friend, and she's a behavioral coach. And we spend a lot of time and do investment in understanding the person, who is he and what is he caring for. And what are the top 3 priorities of that person while choosing a company. Let's say there's the same offer coming from 3 companies. How do you choose? So what is the P1, P2, P3? This is one kind of a thing which happens, and somebody is looking for a learning, growth. There are, of course, a lot of generic answers.
Yes.
But we try to deep dive, and I say very, very honestly with them that, okay, this is an interaction to help you win in your career. It's not a short-term thing. And I always measure our talent acquisitions success not by how many hirings you have got in a month, but how many people are actually blessing you, or how many people are going forward and growing in the company. That's how I measure the talent acquisition success, the pairing metric, how many in, but how many long-term stays are there. And at times the HR people, even though we all are HRs in the company, they do get, initially somebody will come and say, I'm not achieving anything. I said, be patient with that. It's not about how many numbers you're cracking, but how many right people you are able to get into the system and have a win-win situation.
The final question when it comes to culture, etc., is that towards a company's growth stage, there are a few core values, and eventually it keeps evolving with time. How has your organization's culture evolved with time, according to you, from the day you were starting out to now in the 10-year journey that you've had so far?
So the values do not change. I believe the values are timeless. But of course, you are open to, hear new perspectives which come into the picture. And this is a ever-going debate always. Like some people say that this is not going to work the way you are not having many policies in the system. Somebody can abuse it. I said that, okay, we'll not fix something which is not broken unnecessarily. In the growth stage of a company, there are so many problems at any given point of time. Which problem do you want to pick it up to solve the things? Though I think as the scale grows, that's where the challenges also start growing, because you have too many different kind of personalities. But one thing which we try to solve for is that the basic core values are same. The degree may vary. For example, we encourage to the leadership team, there's no conflict of there's no fear of any conflict having, or that kind of a trust building things. We keep on checking the things as well. And we, for example, we have been a certified great places to work. The reason to get into it was also they have a very huge 77 points list where they measure each person's response, and we get a lot of data to work. We also do a lot of ESATs. So our culture evolution is more keeping open mind when there are more people joining in. But the basic thing we always say that a person should be having a fun on the go. So let's say what parameter I do keep checking. Are you having pride in the work you are doing, the products you are selling, or the company you are in, the team camaraderie, and are you happy on a larger spectrum of time? Let's say over 3 months, 6 months. Even if you are not performing at times, but you are making all the right kind of efforts, and performing means in the sense results are not coming out. That's absolutely fine. But there must be something which is not getting right into the input. That's why you're not getting the results. But having said that, the main thing which I particularly keep in mind is always when I go around the people and ask, are you having fun?
Right.
Are you enjoying the process? Are you learning? The moment Are you having that energy in the morning to jump out of the bed and say, today I want to work here, even though at the cost, sometimes you mess up and the client scolds you, or you don't get the things done right because the skill level is an issue. But mainly in startup, it's all on the job learning, which happens a lot. So those exposures, those opportunities we keep on providing, but we keep on fighting a lot of newer perspectives, and then we debate that is this correct, is this scalable. So a lot of issues still come up.
So,
The micro cultures which get built in, but the way I believe anywhere as a guardian, I hear a word, let's say in the company politics, then immediately my ring will be there. Why are you saying this? Is this a politics, or is this something else which you are not able to comprehend and you're naming it as politics? No gossiping, no gossiping culture, no nothing which you can say, not able to say at the front of the guy, and but you're saying at the back of those things. Minimize me. Be humble.
Yes.
Be humble. Be humble. That's something we always say. I have myself, said sorry to many people where I'm saying it's not working out. I think we made a decision which was not in congruence with what you want and what we want. So I had to do that. And today also, if something like that happens, I feel sorry about it, and I say myself sorry on this. That okay, that's where we keep on introducing something or the other so that we end up a right fit. Because once you are here, then it is you are part of us. We have built that trust, and this has to now we. So there's a quote which I from Jim Collins which I keep in mind. If in doubt, don't hire.
Got it. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. It's simple as that.
Yes.
So to wrap this up, you've made a great pitch for your company and its culture. Let's make a pitch for culture itself for everyone who's currently in their startup journeys right now. They're founders or they're looking to work in a company, etc. A big difference in an organization is made through culture. So if you had to pitch culture as an important aspect of company building to all of them who are listening to it, what would your pitch be?
I said that consciously, unconsciously, anyways, you're building culture. It's not something that now I've started building culture. This is the day 100 of my company. Then I start building it. It is getting built up by default. Okay. So you have to watch it out. It's like the weed is going to be there everywhere. You have to watch out if you're making a curated garden. Then, okay, how do you weed out those things which you don't want? So be very, very self-aware. And it is very underrated. Okay, today in India, because roti kapda makan comes into the picture, or first get into a funding or first gets the right customer. But whatever I'm saying, at the back of the mind, it is getting created. So as conscious you should be, because it's going to later on. This is something kind of irreversible kind of a thing which may happen. Okay, or it will be very difficult to the way you said, okay, this is not how I wanted my company to be. I wanted all these things in the mind, that revenues or profitability. So in US last year, I was on a trip with a lot of founders where everybody was talking about the metrics to measure the growth. And everybody talked about NPS. And everybody talked about the churn rate. Everybody talked about the monthly recurring revenue. Everybody talked about new customer acquisition, new geographies. I just, told them all this is really great, but please add ESAT, employee satisfaction score, as well into this, because this is going to be a very, very important metric, and you may have a guilt about it if not measuring it from the day one. It could be day one measure, not a structured surveys. It could be just talking to the people around. But this is not a luxury, I would say, one should have. But again, there is no rights and wrongs. But my idea will be, it could be a very, very strong competitive edge, and I have felt it, experienced it. Like if you are head to head in a competition, then how the customer sees you, it's something the culture can really, really be defining about it, and an edge about it, and winning the deals or winning their talent, and make your place
All right, incredible. Param, thank you so much for such wonderful words of wisdom about culture of an organization itself. So far, what we've learned about culture is that setting the right culture isn't a byproduct of success. In fact, it's a catalyst of success. At the same time, if only work culture was a one-size-fits-all formula, then we could have all followed that same manual. But Param said that as a living, breathing entity that's requiring deliberate cultivation and a well crafted garden, so to say. It's something that just doesn't foster productivity, but it nurtures innovation, resilience, at the same time, a deep sense of purpose in a company. So go ahead and commit to building a workplace where individuals flourish, teams excel, and success becomes a way of life. Until then, it's me, Mangalam Maloo, signing off.
IVM.